Good morning, everybody. It's another Schoolgirl Sampler Monday. Yay! You know how we love to do our Schoolgirl Sampler blocks, 4.5 inch unfinished. And this week it's a doozy. Oh, I'm so excited because I love to do tiny work. And this one's got a little tiny one inside of a little tiny one. So a micro mini on top of a mini. How about that? How exciting. We're on blocks 51 and 52. Now 51 is the pinwheel. Pretty simple. You know, we've been doing half square triangles together now for however long. Then we've got this block 52 is Martha Washington's star. And if you break it down, if you look back in your book, this square right here that's in the middle, it's tiny. It's block number 2 that we did actual 4.5. So if you go back to block number 2, you'll see that we've already done this block. So, but now we're going to make it itty bitty teeny weeny. And how fun is that? But what I brought my one of my potato chip blocks today. I hope you guys are keeping up with your potato chip blocks. I am. I'm still doing them. But this block right here is a potato chip block just with a pinwheel in the middle. Isn't that cute? I just love it. I love it. And then this one looked so familiar. I went back through the book to say, my goodness, I think we've already done this, but we haven't. We haven't done it this way. We've done 4 half square triangles, but we've positioned them differently. We've done 2 half square triangles with 2 squares on each side, and we've done it a couple times, but put the fabrics in different positions. So this is a lesson in good contrast, because to make your pinwheels come out and make them come alive, you need good contrast in your fabric. And then the same thing here, to make these star points really pop out, you want something real dark against something real light, and then same as in here. So, look what Cappy did. She used a stripe for her dark, and then used a solid for her light. And then I used just a couple tiny prints. I love this background. It's kind of tone on tone with a little red dot on it, but it's got a lot of movement. I really liked that. And I've always loved this fabric, the red with the teal. Ooh, that's just so pretty for me. And it kind of felt like fall a little bit. So, you know, I'm still in my fall mode. Then here's my Martha Washington star. And instead of being patriotic, I went with a little more fallish look. And then here's Cappy's, and she was cursing this little bitty block because she doesn't do little. I love little. Cappy, not so much. And really, she did a good job picking out her fabrics because all her fabrics are very large scale, you know. So to get some fabrics that were tiny enough that they wouldn't be all crumbly in here, she did a real good job of picking that out. So let's get started. Let's start with the Martha Washington blocks because, of course, it's got a little bit more to it. So we're going to start out with B and C. B and C. And what we're going to do is I've taken and I've done it exactly like the book. Use the measurements in the book. Even though they're weird increments, you still want to use the book's measurements, okay? And then when you're positioning your blocks, you're positioning your pieces, C is what your pinwheel is going to be, so you want to make sure that you have C in the correct position and then B. And you're just going to sew all 4 of these segments together. And they are tiny. Look at how tiny they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower our stitch length a little bit. Stitch length, where are you? Here you are. So I started, let me clear this and so you can see. My machine here starts out at a 2.2. And I'm just going to lower that down to a 1.8. You could go 1.5 if you wanted to. I think I'm going to stay at a 1.8. This machine does a pretty good job at 1.8. And I'm not going to sew on this point here. We talked about that last week. Don't sew on your point. Sew on your straight part of your piece. I'm trying to get this foot to come up and hold on to that thread. Okay. I'm going to let that right down. Put it right up to my needle. Oh, so tiny. Okay, so I'm going to do that 4 times. And remember, this blue-gray is my background, okay? Because I'm using my Peter memory block fabric. And so in the book and in my block that I originally made, I did use a cream color background. But my background for this block is going to be the gray. Sometimes that's confusing a little bit. But good contrast, that's what you want. Even though I'm working with a gray, I still have good contrast between my fabrics. I may have to go a little bit darker than if I were using just a light colored background. And this goes pretty fast, you know, just get them in there, but you want to be accurate. So I sometimes find out that if I slow down a little bit, I can be more accurate. Okay, so those are all sewn. I'm going to cut those apart, and then right here where my seam is, I'm going to cut that little triangle off. Because when I open that up, I want to show you. When I open that up and I press that seam open, see how I get those? But if I cut it off before I open it, I don't have to contend with that. So cut it off before you open it up, and you're saving yourself 2 cuts instead of just 1 cut to take care of both of those little triangles.
I know what you can call them since you don't like calling them dog ears.
What is it I could call them?
Corn ears.
Corn ears?
Yeah.
Ears of corn.
Yeah.
They don't look anything like an ear of corn.
Well.
Dog's ears are triangular shape. We need to think of something that's triangular shape. Like, what's triangular shape?
Sierra says cat ears.
Cat ears. Ooh, don't cut off cat ears either.
No.
Yeah, no, the cat lovers would not be happy with cat ears. Well, we called them bunny ears during Easter, so we don't really want bunny's ears.
What's a fall animal?
Ooh, no animals. Let's don't cut off anybody's ears, okay? Let's just call them triangles.
Leaves.
Yeah. Cut off the triangles. Okay, now this is where it gets a little bit fishy, because if your 1/4 inch is not dead on, this next step's not going to work for you. This next step is you take this square we cut into 4ths so that our bias would be inside and our straight would be on the outside. This time we're going to cut just on the diagonal once. And why didn't I cut it ahead of time? Because when I cut those and those, they're about the same size, and I didn't want to get them confused. So usually what I do is I cut the first one that I'm going to use first, and then if I have to cut more, I will wait and leave them whole until I'm ready to use them so I don't get them confused. You also could mark them with some kind of a marking, you know, pin that has the letter on it or something. But now I have 4 of those because I had 2 squares underneath me. So now I have 4. Now this is why it's important for your 1/4 inch to be accurate, because now that's exactly the size. If your 1/4 inch isn't exact, then that's not going to fit. So I'm going to sew with the seam side up. That's important, okay? Sewing with the seam side up. That way I can see that the sewing machine is not catching that fabric and tucking that fabric into the seam. That is not a good thing. Some people don't care. I care. So, how come that one's off a little bit? My 1/4 inch wasn't good. See that? I'm going to resew that. Look at that. Look at how short my 1/4 inch is up there. I'm going to resew that.
Dawn, are you going to resew that?
Because I'm picky. You know what happened was I didn't get it right up to my needle, and I must have not had it right up against my guide. Now let's see how, oh, look at how off I was. Look at that. That's almost 1/8 of an inch.
I got to let it focus. That would have not been good.
Well, see, and how did I know that? Because my other piece didn't fit. Did I just go ahead and swing with it? No. A piece this little, being 1/8 of an inch off, screws up everything. I'm not kidding. It's just, it's one of those things that you either want to be accurate or you just fly by the seat of your pants. And I'm one of those people who wants to be accurate. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take the time. This did not happen to me at home. But, you know, it happens for a reason. Maybe that happens to some of you. And you just get to going willy-nilly, and then it's off a little bit. And you think, well, what happened? How could that be off? And then you investigate, and now see, I'm going to have to press that open a little bit better. Yeah. 1/8 of an inch on one side and 1/8 of an inch on the other side is 1/4 of an inch. You wouldn't think of that, but being so dramatic, that was pretty dramatic. For such
That's
a little
dramatic start to a Monday morning.
Phew! Now let's see what happens when I try to put
you got
that
your
other
shoes
piece
on.
up.
That's why that
Oh,
happened.
that must have been it. See, now it fits on there perfect. I'm telling you, people, it's worth it. It's worth to pay attention to your piece. I just slipped my shoes off, so now that so the rest of the video should be good. Yeah. But if something's not fitting, it's like when you're working a jigsaw puzzle, you don't have a pair of scissors beside you to trim off the pieces if they don't fit. You know, it's not like that. So think about working a puzzle, and if your puzzle pieces don't fit, it's the reason. There's a reason, and find out what that reason is and take care of it. Now I'm going to sew those together again with the seam side up, and I'm going to get my stiletto. When I'm working these little pieces, I'm working my stiletto. And I'm getting those pieces in there right where they belong. See that? Yeah. Let me get my hand out of the way so Peter can really focus on what I'm doing there. And I'm putting that piece right up against my needle, so that the first bite it takes is taking fabric. See that? Right up against my guard, right up against my needle. Fix this little end piece here. That little corner, don't let it go off on its own. Just do whatever it wants. If you pay attention to this, your points are going to be so nice.
I also noticed you're using the flat side of the stiletto. You're not stabbing down on the fabric.
Right, I'm not doing
So,
this, is what he's saying. No.
So you're not going through to the needle plate and scratching it up.
No. I'm using this just to hold the fabric in place and to feed it through. And I'm just taking my time with it. Whew, that's over with. Hallelujah. Okay. Now again, we've got those triangles on each end that we're going to snip off right here. And does the angle matter? No, just get it at an angle so it's not going to show when you open it up. Won't be in your way. Gives you a chance to snip off any extra thread there that's on the end of your seam. And now, this is something I didn't do at home. And I'm going to just confess it right now. It's like you're the priest and I'm the confessioner. I looked at these and I thought, oh, those are really good. I'm so proud of myself when I was doing my one at home. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. Those look so good. I'm just going to open those up and sew them in. You got to square these up before you do that. Okay? So, I'm going to take and make sure that they are what they're supposed to be. And they're just over just a little bit. And let me tell you what, when you sew all 4 of those together, the rest of the block is not going to fit if you don't trim these up. Look at how much I trimmed off. You would think that that wouldn't make any difference, but you put 4 of those together and now you're at 1/4 of an inch. And it makes a huge difference. And this is what happens when you don't square them up. See how that's not a point? How my point
what happened to your point.
Yeah, my point got cut off because I was being cocky, thinking, oh, yeah, that looks good. That looks like what the measurement's supposed to be. Well, no, it's got to be squared up. You've got to square this up. Now, you're going to be surprised at what a difference it makes. And again, you know, your ruler has that center guide for you to line that up. Hope I did that on that one. Wasn't paying attention. But see that? See how good that is when you take the time? And if I had just even said, I'm just going to check that. I'm just going to check and make sure that that is what it's supposed to be, then I would have discovered, oh, I needed to square that up. But no, I was so full of myself that I just, had to do it without squaring it up, and then I lost my points. Will I redo that? You better believe I will. I will redo it. Yes, I will.
I didn't think that block looked like you because I went to go look at your block, and then I was like, now wait a minute.
There's no points on
are
the
sewn
ends.
in.
Yep. Well, I left it, Peter, because I wanted everybody to see what happens when you don't square up.
And we're going to see what it should look like here in a moment.
Yeah. Now, so what I did, let me tell you what I did. After I got all 4 of these together and I tried to sew this piece on, this piece was way too big. So what I did was I squared it at this point. I squared it to what it needed to be, and that's why I lost those points, you see. So now, by doing it when it's supposed to be done, the squaring up.
That's called quilter consequences.
That's called confessions of the heart, is what that is.
Confessions of the quilter.
Confessions of the piecer.
Quilter confessions.
Well, we have all kinds of names for that, don't we? So, here we go. We're going to open these seams up, and now these are going to just be dead on, beautiful, gorgeous. And when we sew those together, they're going to be the correct size, and we'll have points. And you'll be surprised at how much better it looks when you do that squaring up like you're supposed to. Okay. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. I decided to put an orange star
I'm so glad
points.
you did. I love that orange.
Yeah.
Are you still thinking of fall?
This orange, I'm still into the fall things.
Then a gray because it's all gray outside because it's no longer out.
So now I'm ready to put my pinwheel together. And when I do my pinwheel, it's a little bit confusing because you've got all this going on. So all I'm going to look at is my C. So here's my first C, and it goes like that. And my second C goes like that. And my third C goes up like that. And my fourth C. And there you go. All your letter C's are in place. And then that pinwheel just falls right into place. And then all you have to do is sew a 4-patch. so let's do that. I'm not going to pin because it's just so small, but I am going to use my stiletto. Get that right up to my needle so that that first needle bite takes my fabric. Sew this together. And those blocks just line right up because you've squared them up. And now they're all the same exact size. They're the size they're supposed to be. It's a good feeling. While I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and start sewing my star points. So I have 4 rectangles and 4 squares, and 8 squares, excuse me. And I'm going to diagonal piece. Now, if I didn't have this tape, I know I say this every time, but if I didn't have this tape, I'd have to draw a line. And of course, you know, you always want to start here in the middle of this piece so that it doesn't, if you started here, it could take that corner right down into your machine if you don't have a single hole plate. And now if you wanted to, you could come over and clear your machine and make your stitch length back to the regular stitch length if that's what you wanted to do. I most of the time just sew at 1.9. I have it permanently in my memory of my sew machine at home. So when I turn my machine on, it comes up 1.9. If I'm doing foundation piecing like fangles or paper piecing where I'm doing paper triangles, I will even lower it to 1.5. And that's millimeters. I'm not much on millimeters, don't know much about it. Don't live where they use millimeters, so never learned about millimeters.
Learn about millimeters, I'm like, I have no use for this.
Okay. Let's get these seams pressed open. This is going to be so pretty. Now, I could have a whole quilt just of these itty bitty bitty ones.
I know you could. I know you could.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
I know I could do a whole quilt.
Well, you
just
saved
of
your half
these.
square triangles. Do you have any that small, Dawn?
I do. But these aren't half square triangles.
No.
These are,
No, you're right.
yeah, you know,
What
they're
are those?
like in thirds.
Third
Like a
square triangle?
Third square, third triangle square. I don't know what it's called. We can make something up. Okay, now this is where the pinning is essential because you've got all these points coming together right here. So you want to make sure that you get your pin right in there where the point is, and then over to the opposite side, put your pin right straight in where the point is, and line those up. Line those up. And then pin on that side of them so that it stays secure when it goes underneath your foot. Those line up. I'm going to get it in my machine. But now look. See how this fabric popped right up? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to lift my foot up and take my stiletto and tuck that down. And then do you see here where my fabric has split? I'm going to move that fabric back in place. Hold that down with my stiletto. Stop and take my pin out. It is so tiny, and some people do not like tiny. And if you didn't want to go to all this trouble, you could just make another potato chip block by putting a solid block here. Just like our potato chip block. You could just replace it with a solid block. Or a half square triangle or a quarter square triangle. You know, you could do something different if you didn't want to go to all this. Because it is tedious. I will admit it's tedious.
Dawn, I think your quilt when you get finished, the border of it
Uh-huh.
should be the center of this block.
Oh, do you think?
Oh yeah.
Just all the way around?
Uh-huh.
Use that as the sashing.
Yes.
I'll get started on that today, Peter. Okay. Now let's open this up for such fun. Such fun. Oh, this just thrills my heart. Look at that. I can't tell you what size this is because it's in the book.
It's in the book.
Yeah, and I don't want to break copyright, but it's tiny. It's fun.
It's small.
It's cute. And it's tiny. And there is a lot of bulk in there. But now I have a good 1/4 inch. See, where before I had to cut those off because I had to square it up. Now I don't have to square it up because I know all those blocks are the right size. Okay. Now all we have to do is get our star points in shape. And I've sewed those on the diagonal, and then I'm just cutting off. I'm eyeballing the seam allowance because I've already sewn it. You can't eyeball a seam allowance unless it's already been sewn. If you're making a seam allowance, you want to make sure it's a 1/4 inch. If you've already sewn and you're just cutting off excess, then you can just eyeball the seam allowance because it doesn't matter, it's already been sewn in place. So now we're just going to add the other side. So I flip that around so that I can sew through the middle, paying attention to my angle, putting that right up to the sewing machine there, right to my needle. Sewing that on the diagonal. Ooh, that one wasn't very good. I let it slip a little bit. We'll see how bad it is. Maybe I'll take it out, maybe I won't. Okay. I'm trying to get my hand out of the way, but that's not helping. There. See how bad that was? Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm going to take that out. See how off that is? Can they see that, Peter?
Can you hold it more square to the camera?
Uh-huh. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
So see how, this is the point right here, and see how far off that is? That's 1/8 inch. That's going to cause me some difficulties. So I'm going to take that out. So now I've got that seam out. I'm going to redo it. Get in there again, making sure, now see, this was my problem. I didn't keep my point right where it was supposed to be. Oh, much better. That one even felt good. Do y'all get emotional with your quilts? I mean, do you get excited about when you do a good point? I do. Of course, it doesn't take much to excite me. I'm very excitable. Okay, again, I'm just going to cut those. Cut those. Ooh, I can't hardly wait to get these sewn on so you can see my good points that I didn't get at home, but I'm going to get today, I hope. Yep. How was your weekend, Peter?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you do any horsey things like bale hay or
No, not this weekend.
no? Is that only a Wednesday thing?
My horse riding's on Wednesday,
Yeah.
and then hay baling's during when it's ready. There might be some of that coming up this week.
Yeah.
I mostly spun my yarn. I worked on spinning some yarn to knit a sweater.
Oh, nice. How come you didn't bring it to show it to us?
I didn't think of it,
Oh.
but I have 3 bobbins spun.
You know, we're
I only
nitty.
need, I only need one more bobbin to have enough for a 4-ply yarn.
Hear it. Meet Me at the Sewing Machine, we're nibby about things like that. We love to see what people are doing. The weather's turning here. It's supposed to get cold this weekend.
How cold?
I mean this week. It says, warning, temperatures will be getting much lower. And that's all I got out of it. I didn't click on it to see what it was really talking about. You know, you just get these things on your phone. All these things on your phone. Your crazy phone. Instead of calling them smartphones, I'm going to call mine a crazy phone. The craziest stuff pops up. I love all the puppy videos, though, you know.
Oh, gosh, me too.
Yeah. Okay, now, my star points are all ready to go, except for I've got to put on 2 of them, I've got to put the corners. So I'm going to start doing that, but at the same time as I'm doing this, I'm going to start working on my other block. And it's just half square triangles. And the increment that she has you cut for this pinwheel block, let me bring that around so Peter can see. This pinwheel block, the increments that are under here, bump that up to the whole increment, okay? Oversize those half square triangles so that we can square them up and give ourselves a little insurance to square them up to the correct size. So go ahead and give yourself just a little bit. I think it's 1/8. Just bump it up 1/8 to the whole increment. And, oh, that's only 2. This one goes here. Okay. Now here we go. We've got points again. Here's a point. And here's a point. You get those in there. Oops. Yeah, there you go. So that's going to fit on there. Now see, when I was doing it at home, this square was 1/8 of an inch out here and 1/8 of an inch out here. So I just had to square it up, but I knew I was going to lose my points if I squared it up at that point. But I just wanted to go ahead and do it because I thought they need to see that. They need to see what happens when you...
Did that hurt your feeler? When you had to go ahead and do it, even though you knew it wasn't going to come out right?
I knew I was going to have to redo it when I got home tonight.
I'd have been emotional.
You would have?
Yeah. It would have been so hard to do.
Well, it's you chalk it up for a lesson learned. You know what I mean, Peter? You just say, okay, I got arrogant with myself, and I know better next time that I have to measure. I have to make sure. You can't just go by instincts, because I looked at that and I thought, oh yeah, that's probably the right size. Well, probably was the bad word right there. It wasn't the right size. I don't know if you guys talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time. They say sometimes you talk to yourself because you want expert advice. Oh my goodness. In my case, that is not my case, let me tell you. I talk to myself just simply because there's nobody else around to talk to that makes any sense, because Dad's not making any sense. Chloe doesn't know how to sew. That Chloe, she's a character. She got into my sewing basket.
Oh, God.
And of course I had it on the floor, so I shouldn't have had it on the floor. But outside she goes with my fresh new pack of charm packs that I just got from Moda. And it's all over the backyard. Little 5-inch squares all around the backyard.
Oh my gosh.
Chloe's having the best time sorting out her quilt in the backyard. So Uncle Jamie comes home and says, uh-oh, Chloe's been in the backyard with fabric. Yep, good old Chloe. And of course, in my mind, she can do no wrong. So, we just go out there and pick them up. She loves to play ball. She'll do anything to get you outside to play ball. She loves her big balls. Those big exercise balls, you know, that people exercise with, those giant ones. She loves those. Okay, again, I'm going to slip that under. I've got it pinned so that my points match up.
Speaking of pens, where's all your pens, Dawn? You got like 4.
I don't know where they all go.
Yeah, 4 in your
Pen
pen
capers.
cushion. Did somebody get your pens again?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So this is how you put together a potato chip block. You just make those flying geese units. And then on 2 of the flying geese units, you put on these squares. So before I get that out of the sewing machine, I'm going to go ahead and sew my half square triangles for my pinwheel block. So I've got my background, and I decided to go with this purple. I know it's not Halloween. You always I think of purple as being a Halloween color.
Purple and orange.
Purple and orange together. Ooh, yummy, scrumptious.
Love purple and orange.
Yeah, so now, of course, again, if I didn't have this tape, I would be drawing a line, probably on the background because it's lighter. I'd be drawing a line from there to there and using it 1/4 of an inch away from my needle. 1/4 of an inch away from the needle. Do the other one. And you're going to do that twice. You're going to do it once on one side of the diagonal and then once on the other side of the diagonal. I'm working back and forth. I'm using my one kind of as a leader and an ender.
Saves you a lot of time.
It does, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because you're working both blocks at the same time.
You're making good use of your
Can
your
you see
chain.
that point right there? See that point? Look over here on this one. No point. Pointless. Pointless. Get the point? Okay. Yummy. So, very happy about that. Especially since we're on camera. That makes it nice, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah.
When you're sewing on camera and it turns out right.
Yeah, we like that. We like when that happens for sure. Okay. I'm going to make sure my points line up. Okay. Let's see. Get those lined up, those seams. Okay. I'm going to push that right down, and then I'm going to pin it. Make sure that that's right in place. I've got a lot of things going on this little bitty block. Okay, I not only make sure that it lines up here, but I also want to make sure it's lining up there. And now, put it right up to the needle. So that 1/4 inch, do not run over your pins. I tell you that every week. And here, this is popped up, so I'm going to raise that foot up. Smooth that fabric down. This block has a lot of bulk, so that's important that you press your seams open to eliminate some of that bulk. I'm going to reach around here and get my other side of my half square triangles sewn. Yeah. I'm glad they put an easy peasy block with this Martha Washington star. Okay, here's Here's the tail of the tails to see if it came out right on this side. Look at that. Look at that nice point. Love that. Love that. One more side to go and we'll be home free. One more side to go. Now this is block 51 and 52. There's 72 blocks, so we only have 20 blocks left. So 10 more Mondays and we'll be done with this project. And then what's going to be the challenge is to see how everybody sets their blocks. That's going to be the fun thing. Don't disappoint me. Don't leave me hanging. Make sure that you post pictures.
I know exactly how I'm going to set mine.
You do?
Yep.
You've already got an idea.
They're already set.
Oh, they are?
Yep,
You've already done it.
They're set up in my cigar box.
Set up in the cigar box. Oh my goodness, Peter, you're hilarious. Yeah. Remember,
Where
Peter was...
where they'll live for a year until I get to it next year.
Oh, no, Peter, don't. You were enjoying these so much.
I know.
Something else came along.
Summer.
Something else came along.
Summer and horses.
Oh. But if you just took a half an hour, once a week, half an hour to an hour. Okay, let's go ahead and get these blocks going. I'm going to cut on the diagonal, cut those in half. I needed 4 half-square triangles, and I only sewed 2 blocks. But with each block, I get 2 half-square triangles. So now I'm going to size those up. It'll tell you in the book what size that you need to size those up. Put your stitching line on your stitching line with your square up ruler. And this gives you, because we bumped up that increment, it gives you a little bit more. Otherwise, that'd just be a tiny sliver, if even that. I like to give myself just a little bit of extra to be able to size those up and know that those are perfect. Because let's face it, fabric moves. Your seams aren't always going to be exactly accurate. So if you can give yourself just a little bit of extra, it's not so much that you're wasting a gob of fabric. It's 1/8 of an inch. It's not that much. And gives you the peace of mind. It's worth it. The peace of mind is worth it. Of course, if I give very many pieces of mind away, I won't have very many because I don't have that many to give. So...
I think you've been giving a lot of peace of mind away during during the year, during our broadcast.
Boy, we have learned a lot, haven't we, through this process?
We sure have.
And we've done a lot of different blocks. Oh, this has just been a real fun journey, if you ask me. And I'm glad you guys are here doing it with me. Peter and I, we've enjoyed it so much. This was a really fun book. Kathleen, thanks for writing it. Kathleen Tracy, she is the author of the Schoolgirl Sampler book. And we sure have enjoyed it. We've got our money's worth out of this book, haven't we?
Oh, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Something to keep you busy for this long a time.
Yeah.
If you go to the movies, that's $50.
Yeah.
And that was only 2 hours if you count the credits.
Well, then you got to buy popcorn because you can't go to the movies without buying popcorn, right?
Right.
So it becomes, instead of $50, it becomes like $150. Because a box of popcorn is about $50 now at the movies, isn't it? I mean, that's if you get the large. I think the small is like $35.
2 large drinks, and then 2 boxes of candy.
Oh my goodness. Remember when you tried to sneak it in and they wouldn't let you? They wouldn't let you sneak it in. Of course, you know, if you go to the drive-in, Do they even have drive-ins anymore?
They do.
On Facebook, I
They
see
do.
where people are doing it in their backyard. They're putting up
you
a
get a
big
projector.
sheet. You get a projector, yeah. And they're doing it, and they make for the little kids, they make little cars out of cardboard and let the little kids sit in their cardboard cars. It's so cute. I wonder if Chloe would sit and watch a movie in a cardboard car.
I think I would sit
You would?
and watch a movie in a cardboard car with Stella. Me and Stella would hang out.
You could have your own snacks, bring your own snacks.
Yeah, I'm liking this idea. I could have a little
Yeah.
bonfire and a little fire ring.
Invite all your friends.
Get you some juju berries or whatever those are called. Okay, now I'm going to lay this out. And again, I'm going to look at my colored fabric and see how it's positioned here on my chart in my book. And then that makes it easier for me to lay it out. So right there, that's what I'm going to do. So now I have it do is a 4-patch. And of course you want to make sure that they line up, but because you've squared them up and you've used that ruler, they just line up perfect. And when I get down here to this seam, this bulk, I'm going to really slow down and make sure that that isn't getting fussy underneath my foot. Ooh, I can't hardly wait to get this seam open so I can see my points. See my points. Now see
Oh, I
how
love
much
that light
prettier
orange.
that is than this.
I love the light orange, dark orange thing you got going on.
Yeah, isn't that pretty? See how it just cut off those and how much prettier it is when you actually get the points compared to this one with no points. Just love it. Peter,
Love that fabric.
I love it. I'm in love with it. So, it won't take me long to fix that other one. And I just chalk it up to, lesson learned. Till the next time. I get full of myself. I think I can sew without squaring up. You know, I have some friends who have been sewing for years and years and years, and they didn't even know what squaring up was. Now, I just can't imagine.
I didn't know what it was.
No, come on, Peter.
I have.
For real?
Yeah, I have a quilt that I did. It was pinwheels. The whole thing was pinwheels using a layer cake
Yeah.
to make the pinwheels.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't square up any of those blocks. And then I
Really?
sewed it all together. Now, granted, oh, you're out of focus. Granted, you could tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obvious.
Yeah.
That was an adventure. But, yeah.
So did you wonder why your squares
Oh,
weren't going
yes.
together?
Yes,
hey,
I
I sewed
did.
these right. Why aren't they going together?
Well, you could look on the outside of the square. You could see where the seams were off.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, when I go and sew them together, then
That'll fix it.
it'll fix it.
It's just, again, like doing the jigsaw puzzle. Oh, this one doesn't have a straight edge? Oh, it should be a corner piece. Let me get out my rotary cutter and cut those little nubbins off, and it'll be a corner piece.
So-
Of course, the picture won't make any sense, but...
So then what? So then I decided, oh well, maybe I should square the quilt. Now I've never squared a quilt before, so I didn't know how that was supposed to work.
Oh,
So what I
my.
did was I just took a line, and where something stuck out, I chopped it off.
Oh, no,
So in the
Peter.
lower left-hand corner, where I took off almost a half an inch, I'm missing the whole part of that block.
And
So
of course, you have to love that quilt because lesson learned, right?
well, there's more.
Oh,
There's
no.
more to this quilt.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm excited. This is going to be one of the first or second quilts that I'm going to put on the long arm and do free motion quilting on.
yeah.
So I get it on the long arm. I go to quilt it. Well, what happened was when I loaded it, I didn't wind my backing
Oh, no.
on the right bar.
Oh, no.
So I free motion quilted it, went to advance it, and I couldn't advance it.
Because it was on the wrong bar.
Because I didn't have it loaded right. So then I had to take it off and then tear out the quilting. So the quilt itself is in a corner in the sewing room
Oh no.
with half the quilting picked out.
Oh.
I don't think it's going to become a quilt.
Oh, that's kind of discouraging. But you know what? Maybe later on you'll think to yourself, you know what? I'm just going to forge ahead and I'm just going to, instead of it laying there in the corner, maybe I'll go ahead and do what needs to be done. And then I can either donate it or keep it in my pile as a memory of when I first started quilting. Because we all have to start somewhere, right?
It's almost a finished quilt.
I mean,
it just needs to be unpicked.
Peter, if you start something brand new, like learning how to drive a car, okay, you can't expect the person who is just getting behind the seat of the car, the wheel of the car, to know absolutely every rule of the road. I mean, it's just impossible,
Unless
right?
they have one of those self-driving cars.
Well, there you go. Or a smartphone.
No, continue.
But you know, understand what I'm saying? That, you know, when you learn to play the piano, you don't know all the chords all at once. Every single chord that there ever is. You don't know those immediately. You have to start somewhere. So if you have the desire to quilt, then your desire is to learn and learn and learn and learn and keep learning. And so obviously, the quilts that you started are not going to be the quality of the quilts that you make today. But the lesson here, get off my soapbox, quit preaching to the choir, and say, keep on sewing your 4.5-inch blocks because they're so darn cute. Look at that. I love them, love them. And that's my Peter ones. Let's look at all of them together.
Let's look at all of them.
Let's look at all of them. There's my Peter blocks. Let's get those up there. My Peter blocks. There's my Kim Deal blocks.
Just love that
here's
orange.
Cappy's blocks. So there you go. Pinwheels and Martha Washington stars. Very pretty. Till next week. Keep on sewing. Bye.